Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of the Paddle and Foil Show. If you're watching us, hello. If you're listening to us on podcast, I'm here, myself, Ruben, I'm here with Bo and Will to give you some of the best industry news in stuff we've been up to over the last month and answer some phenomenally good questions from our amazing SUPboarder Pro readers of the technique and kits they've been speaking about as well. What's SUPboarder Pro, Will?
Well, SUPboarder Pro is the subscription side of SUPboarder that gives you access to loads more content, including our head-to-head tests, but also support from us as well as other SUPboarder experts like Lucy, Beth, those other people. Really.
Loads of testers.
So yeah, if you want to support the magazine, but also get access to more content and get solid, independent, non-biased information from us, we're here to help.
We're here to help, definitely. Yeah, you can sign up for a monthly fee for less than a beer, or you can sign up for a full year. And after that, then maybe I can get a jumper, and I realise I'm quite cold today because you guys are in jumpers and I'm not.
Yeah, we need a few more subscribers because we can't turn the heating on.
That is the truth. But yeah, right, so in this episode, we're going to be speaking about loads of cool stuff. We're going to talk about what we've been up as a team, the latest stuff we've been testing, because that's been very interesting, and reviewing. What should we start with? Let's start with the stuff we usually start with, which is looking a bit at the industry news.
Yeah, why not?
What's been going on over the last few months, because it has been a while since we did a last Paddle and Foil show, to be honest. We've been very busy.
Yeah, mid-July, it's been a busy summer, hasn't it, really?
Very busy summer.
Pumping out a lot of content. Yeah, what have we been doing?
There's a lot of gear available at the moment in the SUP, the foil, the surf, the mountain bike, everything. There's loads of gear available on the market at the moment, which means there's loads of good deals out there at the moment. Obviously, there's pros to that and cons to that. I know from a big con, there's a lot of inflatable paddleboards sitting in warehouses in various countries around the world that need to be sold, which isn't a great thing. But as I said, great deals on the market. So if you are shopping and looking for gear, good time to be a buyer's market, even the second-hand market.
Yeah.
You know, so
absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the gear, is there? I mean, what's the reason why there's loads of gear?
It's just because, well, we all know COVID, everybody was mad keen on leisure. Factories were like, okay, we need to make more. And then suddenly we started realizing maybe we need to hold back and not spend as much. And maybe we've got to go back to work.
Yeah.
So we haven't got so much time to play, and there's just kept on making that manufacturing and the shipping. There's various little things that came in there. But
yeah, bit of a hangover from COVID, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, great for the consumers because there's lots of choice out there.
Lots of premium brands too, like top quality brands. There's some great deals.
Yeah,
we're seeing Red Paddle Co. Starboards being discounted.
Yeah,
not because there's anything wrong with them,
not
just because they've got to sell them.
Yeah, it does mean the second-hand market comes down as well. But anyway, so there's lots of good. So the good thing for you, especially I think for the winging and foiling market, a lot of people getting into it. There's a lot of good stuff that's available at a reasonable price. When we first started, it was, you bought something which is highly, top end premium price point, and it wasn't actually half as good as the basic stuff right now, was it? Yeah. It was so much easier to get yourself into the sport. So that's a great side of looking at that. That has led us on to not many brands doing. Actually, let's take this away from the foiling market. With the SUP market, not many brands doing as much R&D and development into the more mainstream inflatable SUP market, should we say? As in, not as many people doing as much R&D this year.
Yeah, from what I understand, because of the drop-off in demand, say at manufacturers of drop stitch material, because there's not so much demand, they've not really invested in developing those products more. So we've certainly seen a bit of a stagnation in materials, which has been interesting, just because there's not so much demand, there's not so many factories making stuff. And I think naturally that sees a little bit of a drop-off in innovation we see at consumer level.
Yeah, so they're still doing it. I know there's brands going to go, we've been working hard, but it's a lot. It's not just about physical board shapes that are coming out. There's so much, but
I've been doing quite a lot of chatting to brands as we kind of work on what we're doing for next year, for the 2024 season. And some of the key things I'm getting is that brands have spent a slower year on sales, but they've had the time, therefore, to put into refining some of their processes, looking at their product development cycles, reshaping their teams, improving customer service sort of problems that they might have had in the big boom. So I think I'm kind of hopeful that we'll see some improvements in things in 2024 and through to 2025 as brands kind of get their ducks in a row.
That's true.
Which could be interesting.
Yeah. But there is some products going. Hence, we're sitting on. You two are sitting on one right there. Actually, we'll speak about in a minute.
Very solid seat, isn't it?
A very solid seat.
Yeah.
It's not very bouncy at all.
They're sitting on an iSUP.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll speak about that in a minute. But yeah, there is some developments going on, but it's not as much. But the foiling market, I still think they're full gun ho, foot down.
Yeah, I mean,
develop. You don't want that. That's rubbish. You want this. No, what did I say? That's last year's news. That's last week's news. You want to be on this.
Design is going so quickly in that area that it's really hard to keep up. I was at a foiling competition a few weeks ago, and I was joking with people about how we couldn't really keep up with the developments, and they were like, well, I was speaking to a shop owner, and they said, well, if you guys can't keep up, well, we're all doomed. And that's true, isn't it? It is moving very, very rapidly.
Yeah.
From a consumer point of view, that's hard to keep up with. Really hard to keep.
It doesn't need to go as quick as that.
No, everyone's just trying to better the other products.
Exactly. You don't want to be seen to be not sort of innovating in the industry, do you? Especially the foiling market. But
a lot of these designs, beneficial for improving their products, or are some of them kind of flops?
Good question.
Yeah, I think winging came along and all wings were the same, and now you're starting to see wings for different disciplines, and there's different design characteristics that are popping in, and people are experimenting with different things, and there's trends coming in as well, and so and incredibly three-dimensional, complicated sport with foils and how much complexity is there, and the disciplines in foiling have just gone boom, and everyone's sort of scurrying around trying to create great products for those, and that's why it's moving so quickly.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, to answer your question, but I would say that there's been better developments for better level of riders, higher level riders. I think sometimes the beginners, the first entry, not all the brands, but some of them are definitely missed out, and they're like, oh well, that's old now. We want to focus on jumping high and multiple rotations, and because that's what gets the magazine shot. I'm not going to say it does, but generally it does get the whoa, look at that.
It would be nice to see a bit more focus on sort of that beginner level.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, it will filter down. It's like F1 car, your tyres will be on, not the same tyres, but that same technology does come down and come into your road car eventually. So, okay, then we're also keeping on industry news. Before we move off this, talk more about this board you're sitting on, and what else have you been chatting about in the industry at the moment? Who have you been chatting to?
Yeah, well, this is pretty cool. It's come from the States, Isle paddleboarding. I think they're pretty popular out there. We don't see a lot in Europe. They focus on the American market, but I think they're going to focus on the European market going forward. We obviously reach people all over the world, so some of you may be more familiar with this brand. But what's really exciting about this is that it's one of the most exciting innovations in SUP construction that I've seen for a while. It's using a stiffening system called Infinity Fiber.
Sounds good.
Which is along the rails and
the top and bottom,
on the bottom and the top of the board. And it is noticeably pretty stiff. We haven't paddled it yet, but we put it on our deflection test, and it's stiff, isn't it?
So just for your podcast listeners, they're sat on a paddleboard. It's quite a big board, actually. Is it 12.6?
14 by 31.
Where did you find that out?
On the bottom of the board.
I was looking for that earlier. I didn't look that hard.
6 inches thick.
Yeah, it is a big board, but it does look, and when you're sitting on it, very, very stiff, and it looks pretty cool. It just looks tough.
It looks like fiber, like real fiber. It actually looks a bit like pre-preg unidirectional fiber stuck onto the board. And I think there's some
thick. It's thick.
It's thick, but the board overall isn't super heavy. I think it's called the AirTech Pro construction. So, because I said, this is going to be heavy, but actually it's not that heavy.
No.
And I think there's some quirks about how you have to fold it up or roll. You can't roll it, you have to fold it. You have to make sure you get all the air out. Otherwise, that fiber literally just doesn't bend. So you have to collapse it in the right way. But really exciting. And I think we're going to have a little paddle on it, do a little pro piece on it. Because it would be really cool to shout about such a great innovation.
Yeah. And obviously all these types of innovation, if you're not a paddler, a supper, you're a foiler, they will probably come into the foiling inflatable market.
Yeah.
So it's all sort of connected.
Yeah.
What
I was-
really intrigued me was that you only inflated it to 15
Yeah, this
psi,
is, yeah, this
and
is
it's super stiff.
Yeah. Recommended, I think 13 to 17, so it doesn't take a very high psi pressure. So that's it's
Good
pretty neat.
quality.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, for the benefit of the people watching it on video, we'll put some clips, close-up clips over, I guess.
Yeah, and it does make a good seat.
Yeah.
What else have you been rummaging around for? With your
Well,
emails?
we do quite a lot of work with Aqua Marina.
Yep.
And one of the cool things I learned was that Aqua Marina have a new UK distributor.
Right.
And I thought that was quite significant because Aqua Marina have been one of these brands that you've seen heavily discounted in the UK and other parts of Europe, I would say. We've seen Aqua Marina for 10 years probably, haven't we? And
Yeah.
seen how they've developed, and the quality of the product has really improved, particularly in 2023. And I spoke with their new distributor, and they were very, very keen to change the image of the brand in terms of it's not a discount brand. We want to work with shops and develop the trust in shops because we want a retail network. Traditionally, not a brand that's had a retail network. It's kind of been direct sell from distributor to consumer, which has resulted in lots of discounts, I think.
Yeah.
So that's cool to see a brand like Aqua Marina just kind of improving how they do things to become a bit more sustainable, gain some trust of the wider paddleboarding community.
Yeah, they do listen to us as well, the reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
I've said quite negative stuff in the past about their products, but they just listen to it and change it.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Just take it on the chin and go forward. But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. What else? I can see something next to you. I've seen before. Oscar Propulsion, I'm going to say.
Oscar Propulsion, yeah. Now there's a cool little pro video that we did where I tested this, didn't I?
Yeah.
And some of our other testers, Johnny.
And this is for the podcasters.
Yeah, sorry. This is a
paddle with holes in it.
A normal paddle that they have
Slits.
put slits in it, and the reason behind why this works is sort of beyond my intelligence, really. But
No, you can work that out.
There is some really cool science behind it. Go and geek out on their website if you want to. But it's kind of tried and tested in rowing, and the idea is that it reduces the strain on the body at the point of catch, which is one of the parts that affects your, it's injury prevention really, but also allows people to paddle for longer with less load on their shoulders. Definitely works. I don't think it reduces the amount of power that you have. It just feels like it's less powerful. And we've, a lot of people have tested this now. I think what they've done is launch an Indiegogo campaign, which is like a crowdfunding campaign, to give people the opportunity to buy a paddle, a slitted paddle or a cut paddle, however they want to call it, that I believe is made by Ainsworth. I might have to confirm that. Which is a UK manufacturer of paddles, been around for a long time. So you can buy a Oscar Propulsion cut paddle. I think there's a sort of limited supply of them, so that's cool. And I think I would really be quite excited if this was taken further, and if you designed a paddle to be cut from concept point rather than retrofit cuts to it, I think you might see a very different style of
so
paddle.
at the moment it's taken and you put it on any paddle almost.
Yeah. This
we've
paddle
tried
I'm
it.
holding
We've
here.
seen it on lemurs and we've seen it on other things, and some of them haven't worked as well because they've been too thin or.
Yeah, and I think they've refined the way that they do the cuts. But everyone who tries it says, or seems to say that it definitely does work. And I think it's just it's one of those cool innovations that would be really nice to see.
And that's it's pennies dropped. Downwind SUP foiling. Would that help?
Yeah, because I've been doing a bit of downwind SUP foiling and it absolutely destroys my shoulders because I'm paddling so hard.
Yeah, so it's interesting. That is another thing that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a really cool innovation that I think could help people enjoy paddleboarding. Cool.
And what else is on here? Bo, you've got something on your side.
I do have something on my side. So we've been sent a SUP Haul from Just SUP UK. The SUP Haul is I guess it's like a rope kind of thing that you attach to your board, and it makes it easy for you to climb back up on. which is
Yes.
really, really handy. So I think it's maybe like one of the first designed kind of specific self-rescue devices for SUP, which is
And
which
if,
is
if
great.
some of you are going, why do you need that?
Yeah.
You did a video on this,
Yeah.
and actually got a lot of interest. Some people can't climb back on their generally inflatable paddleboard, and also generally being 6 inches thick, so they're quite hard to climb back on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you and I, we kind of just got
yeah.
over a rope and tied it to the
Yeah.
center carry handle, and used it as kind of like a, I guess like a little bit of a
leg up.
like a leg up, yeah, to kind of get back up on the board. But this SUP Haul takes it to, you know, a new level really. So you actually need to have a D-ring on the nose of your board underneath. You connect it to that, it goes down the full length of your board, down toward the tail, and you actually get up from on the tail of the board.
Yeah, it creates a little stirrup, doesn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah. You have to be a bit careful because it's a bit of an entrapment, entanglement
I'm
thing.
sure there'll be some people that will.
Yeah. But
use your common sense of when you use it, you know, moving water and all that sort of stuff. I mean,
but the video that you did on how to get back onto your SUP was one of our most watched videos in a very short amount of time. So definitely a place for that in the market. So it's called SUP Haul by Just SUP.
That's right. Yeah. To help people, you know, struggle to get back on, or you know, wearing a PFD makes it really hard as well to get back on. So if you do struggle to get back on, check them out. Very.
It's amazing that doing a video like that, we think, oh yeah, there's some people who find this useful, and then you do it and think, wow, there's quite a lot of people that find it useful.
Yes.
Okay, you know, a lot of people don't. There's so many questions that people don't want to ask because they're like, oh, it's a stupid question, or I can't ask that, or they're going to laugh at me. And so you realise actually, there's so much with all these disciplines, isn't there?
Yeah.
Things that need to be addressed.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
What else have you got? That's probably on the far different end of the spectrum compared to a SUP Haul. Very technical.
Very technical.
And you've been using this, and we've got a full review of this coming out soon.
Yes, this is the Quobba Shifter Center Fin. So it is a fin that you can slide.
Nice one.
I'm just trying to get it right in my head because it's like there's so much to it.
That explains the podcast. It is a fin. It's a thruster fin. It's a 12 centimeter.
Yeah.
And before you go on the slider bit, what's the Quobba bit? Because that's just in case you haven't seen.
Quobba. So Quobba is an Australian fin company that has revolutionised fin design, basically.
Extra big pimp here, because Aussie on Aussie. Here we go. Yeah.
But they basically created a fin that gives you more stability, more hold, and more speed.
Yeah.
And that's through venting systems underneath the base of the fin, through a caudal keel on the side of the fin as well. And there's a lot going on with the Quobba fin.
Proper cool.
If you're listening in, it looks techy, doesn't it?
It is very techy.
Very well refined, but it's much more than just a fin.
That's right. And then the new shifter fin that they brought out actually allows you to move the center fin forward and back when you're surfing, basically. Yeah. So finish a wave. Oh no, I don't like that.
You have to get off your board. You can't do it when you.
Yeah, exactly. Can't press the button. Not on that stage yet. Yeah, exactly. But there's like the actual the keel. It actually flips up.
That is neat. So you just turn the board over in the water, slip it up, and then you can slide your fin forward and back in the fin, and then it falls off, and then you lose your expensive fin. No, but you've been testing that, and it's been working well, isn't it?
I have been. It's been working really well, actually, and you do notice such a difference in it too. It's got 4 different points where you can move it to, and then you kind of just set it back into place. And
I guess it's not for all SUP surfers because it work on a FCS box.
Yes,
you know,
FCS
box.
Yeah, or a futures. They have different adapters for the boxes. But yeah, if you have a US center fin box, it basically works as a US center fin box.
Yeah.
In a fixed fin box.
Yeah. Which some brands do have, don't they?
Yeah, like Sonova, JP, Fanatic also have in their surf SUPs. Yeah. And then any customs as well, you might find that you have those fixed fins in there. So I thought it was a really cool product.
It's nicely finished off.
It is. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of, R&D's gone into that.
Yeah, and when I speak to these guys, they are so passionate about it. Like they love it. They absolutely love it. And they're doing some really cool stuff.
They really are. Yeah, and they do work as well. They're not just a gimmick.
Yeah, and we found that even at a lower level, actually, not not your levels, Bo, but a bit lower, even longboarding, hold speed, you do notice a difference. It does seem to make a difference on what board you're on, actually, what I found.
It does?
Well,
I think it does. Definitely, I mean, board design comes into it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you use a board you know really well,
Mm.
and a fin setup, then you put them on, you will notice a difference.
Yes.
That's what I mean. It's almost like, that's the same with everything, I suppose. But
Yes, if you want to know any more about them, you've done a full review on SUPboarder Pro, haven't you? You've done a quick look on SUPboarder, so there's content for people to look at.
And then there's that video that's coming out.
Be out
Yeah,
the
So
week after,
there's quite a few videos of Quobba
Yeah.
stuff. But that is a cool bit of techie stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, chaps. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Shall we move on to what we've been doing over the last couple months?
Yeah.
All right, as it's all about me, I'll talk about me. As I'm first on the list, I've been paddling with Aidan Nicholas.
Oh,
Who's
you're Aussie, mate. I mean,
Aussie.
Kiwi.
Oh,
no!
Oh, it's almost as worse as getting into the Pavlova argument. Crowded house or whatever. Oh, anyway.
What are you on about?
Oh, they always claim one of them as the other,
Yeah.
Yeah. You may, it's not one to just brush over, Will. Anyway, Aidan Nicholas, Takapuna boy, North Island, in Auckland. Yeah, he came down with Armstrong, Tris Best from Armstrong UK, brought him over, and they taught me to pop up downwind SUP foil. What is the right term for that? It's flat water, pop up, down.
Flat water paddle up foiling?
Flat water paddle up foiling.
It's not pump foiling, is it? It's because
when you're up there,
that would be dock starting. But yeah, I think it goes on to what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, why on earth would you do that?
Yeah. It's fun. Actually, this is quite funny because I remember Tris was like, "How do you want to do the videos? Do you want to do an intro at the beginning?" And I was thinking exactly that. What the hell do I call it?
Yeah, because
Flat water paddle up SUP foiling.
So this is using a longer board.
It's using a longer board and a paddle and a foil, and paddling up on. I had it mirror. Well, it was flat, no wind, very very little tide. Aidan Nicholas is an exceptionally good foiler from all types of foiling, SUP foiling, pump foiling, dock, winging, the whole lot.
So annoying.
Yeah, he's only like 24. Anyway, super nice guy. Great instructor. So I managed to film that session. We were just on a boat on a mooring, and I managed to paddle up on almost my first go. I did initiate the foil, which was like, it's in, you've initiated, but I couldn't get the repetition. But after the 10th go, it was like, okay, committed.
Yeah.
So, but that was on it's like somebody coming down and saying, right, here's one of the world's best riders. Here's some of the world's best gear. I've set it up the best. This is how you do it, the best. I haven't really got much excuse not to do it, really. It was like perfect. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting to do that new side of the sport. The big thing for me, though, and I spoke about this on the video that I've made as well, is that how paddleboarding, obviously, is allowed me to do that. Good paddle skills, being able to paddle in a straight line, a small board, and put the power down, keep going in a straight line, I think is the biggest part of the jigsaw, I think.
Yeah. But why would you want to do it? Why would you just want to go in a straight line, paddle up onto a foil? What's the bigger picture?
That's the question that somebody else I was going to speak about later on the YouTube. Somebody actually wrote the thing of what's the point in doing this, and I was going to answer back, and I was like, actually, what is the point in doing this? When you look at it on the flat water like that, I was only managing to do because of my fitness, probably 5 or 6, 30 seconds of pumping, go around in circles. It's going to be a tricky. I'm not just going to paddle and pump round my estuary for half an hour because I'm going to be, unless I'm.
You might as well pump foil.
I might as well pump foil, but I haven't got a dock. But anyway, the reason is it gives you you can practice on flat water, and then, which me and Will will speak about in a minute, we started going into estuaries and downwinding with it in small bumps. And if you can paddle up then, and then you don't need to pump, and you have got more, effort to keep you on that foil, whether it's a wave or wind on your back, that suddenly transforms.
Piece of the puzzle.
It's a piece of the puzzle,
isn't it? Downwind foiling.
Yeah, and pretty amazing experience. But I'm really definitely a solid SUP. I know a lot of the proners are coming into it, and now they're learning to SUP, aren't they? I better try this. It's it's quite hard. It's all the suppers out there that can SUP and definitely paddle like you, Bo, paddling surf SUPs and stuff, you'll be able to transition onto that a lot easier, I think, because the foils actually, like Will said earlier, they're easy to use. They're much bigger, much more stable. So really interesting. So thanks again to Armstrong, Tris, and Aidan for coming down to help me play with that. But that was a lot of fun, and you were doing something similar but on your own.
Yeah.
Off of that, actually, so I've got 2 videos out. There's one on SUPboarder Pro, which has got bonus sections of Aidan stuff,
kit set up and
kit
stuff.
set up,
like, real
and there's
juicy
also
stuff.
the YouTube one that you probably watched already. If you're watching this, or if not, check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah. Will, about a week later, you had to.
I picked up the Ace foil, which is Starboard's downwind board.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ruben did it, I'm going to do it. So I stole all of the insight in the videos and I gave it a go without any instruction at all. But
That's second-hand instruction, that is.
I must say, what I learned from that video was absolutely critical for me to be able to do it on my own. Because I watched it, and I even watched it in the car before I went on the water and made the video that is on SUPboarder Pro about my first experience doing it. And it's cool, and it's got me really into it, to be honest, because we're doing.
You've been doing it a lot, actually, haven't you? The last couple of weeks.
And I've started to really think about how I can put all those pieces of the puzzle together to be able to downwind foil. And like downwind foiling is seriously hard, I think. Like I don't think anyone would say it's not hard. But what it's given me a little bit more enthusiasm and drive to do all the other disciplines in foiling again, because they all allow you to develop a technique that's going to be funneling into that downwind foiling, like golden thing. Because it's like I sort of at the moment I just imagine like cruising downwind, doing downwinder, like in some wind swell or down an estuary and just cruising, and then like some dolphins pop up and you're just cruising, and you can like people have done like hundreds of kilometers in one go, and I just think it would be really cool just purely harnessing that energy, but it's really, really hard. And I've had some really low moments when I'm out there in some crazy swell, and I feel like I'm going to be sick because I've been paddling so hard.
Yeah, that was a couple.
I'm just like head down on the board, like this is so grim. But that's why I quite like that type of crazy challenge. So I've actually been doing some winging to because it kind of accelerates me to get onto the swell, and then really focusing on how I can park that wing and purely focus on the energy in the water, which is probably what I haven't done before. So. So I think then it's just putting all those pieces together.
Definitely. I think for people in the real world that haven't got 100-kilometer runs, like being able to go down an estuary, it's super safe because there's banks either side. It's very accessible because you can get to anywhere, and that's the sort of stuff 95% of the people I think are going to be doing. And it's a lot easier because you've got one direction of chop, which is basically going down the river, instead of just tide chop, side chop, backwash.
I say it's really hard. I think to get that full-on ocean downwinder, really, really hard. But, I think I said to you after we had the session where we did some downwinding in an estuary, it's probably easier than I thought it was going to be. Because if you take the right steps and you don't put yourself in crazy situations, you can link it up. But it's harder to achieve, isn't it? Because you've got to think a bit about your logistics, whether you need a boat or a jet ski or, but it is possible.
It is possible, and also you've got to think about what everybody else thinks of you, as in the public on the beach, on the cliff path. I remember
that's the thing I worry about.
That's the stuff that the whole, especially in England, Maui and Hawaii, they're used to seeing people do crazy stuff, but apparently we're not allowed to exist in this country. Yes, people. You should be in the pub watching football. No, because there was a time, which leads on to what else I've been doing. So me and Lucy were doing starboard raceboard testing. Reviewing, riding over the last couple of months. So while we were out riding the starboard Gen R and the starboard All Star in some downwind, like chop, pretty horrible, nasty conditions, Will was out SUP foiling for the first downwind SUP foiling on the starboard Ace foil for the first time, looking like he's going to throw up, and I'm paddling. You're right, but you did it.
Not because I was seasick.
No.
I was
physically knackered.
just like. I wouldn't say what's the right word for it? Is it cardio? Like I'm not very fit basically. Like I don't really like going for a run or doing anything that raises my heart rate too much. But you do have to raise your heart rate.
But you did actually. I was like, oh my word, he's actually up.
I mean when you got into smaller bumps, wind bumps, that was so much easier than trying to do it out in sort of head high swell,
Yeah.
just in some random,
But it-
on random.
But it
spot.
was achievable. It is achievable. It's going to be really interesting to see where it goes in the
Yeah.
sport, and it does link up so many other disciplines like the wing foiling,
Yeah.
flat water pump up, the SUP surf foiling. Because we're doing so, we got a full review of the starboard ace foil coming out, and we've tested them in all the disciplines.
Yeah, so you're
So
doing
that's-
flat water paddle ups,
Yeah.
winging, SUP surfing, and downwinding. We
Yeah.
covered it all. So,
It's
they're
a
like
sort
a
of
bit of a quiver killer.
yeah.
Mm.
It would be the one board that I'd have actually. I'm not saying just the starboard. I'm saying that type of board.
Yeah.
And there is definitely big differences between something like starboard and something like an Armstrong. Having used both, me now, I was like, wow. No, they're both good, but they both have different. How can I say? One is more of a paddler's board, and the other is more of a pumper's board. I think to get up, and I think we should possibly let us know a full SUPboarder Pro test on these type of boards.
Yeah, because the two we've seen already have been so
Yeah.
different. There's probably something to talk about, isn't
Yeah.
there? And
So if you want to see a SUPboarder Pro test on the quiver killer of foil boards, let's say the downwind shape boards, let us know what board you want in it for a start, because there's quite a lot out there.
shout out.
I think no more than
comments
how many can we do? Oh, no more than 10.
Yeah, no more than
It
10.
gets pretty. Anyway, let us
yeah.
know if you're interested in that. I know people are going to be interested in that. I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of board you should have, Bo, actually.
Yeah,
It would be great for you.
I'd love to be involved as a beginner.
Yeah. Well, you're one of these beginners that gets on and actually you suddenly jump up. You miss the
I can
beginner, but
paddle,
you're intermediate.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Actually, we
But-
should film Bo on his first one to see how that works, because you have SUP surf foiled once, which you managed to do,
Going straight.
much to my annoyance, and you've done winging a few times,
Yeah.
but that was learning about wind, and you haven't done any of that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to maybe we should log Bo's one,
Yeah.
coming from a good paddler point of view.
Look out for that video soon.
Look out for that video soon. So what what else? What have you two been up to, Bo? What have you been up to? What haven't
I've
you been up to?
Yeah, that's very true. I've been traveling a lot recently.
Yep.
Quite a lot. And one of those travels was to France for the ISA World SUP Paddleboard Championships, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So cool to be a part of. I was there commentating at the event. So I did the SUP surfing and the racing and the paddle prone paddleboarding as well. It was unbelievable to be like part of that atmosphere again. And I used to compete, but haven't been in a competition for a long time. And it was cool to see, old faces and meet new people and things like that. Really cool to see the UK contingent going over there as well. Having spent, some time with Blue Ewer, doing some videos with him. You can check out all those on SUPboarder as well.
Yeah.
About drafting and SUP racing, getting into racing. But yeah, he was there, and SUP surfing as well was fantastic to watch. Had some amazing waves, like phenomenal waves for the event. Yeah, waves were really good, which is good because everyone was happy that they had waves for a surf event, which is great. And then, as the week progressed on, it transitioned into, calmer waters for the racing, which was perfect.
What do you think of the general level of everybody now compared to, like, if you look back 10 years? What is the SUP surfing? Is it higher or are they smaller boards? What's your feelings with all that?
I definitely think that the level has gone up a lot. They're still the same names, but they've just like improved, gotten much better. The winner of the SUP surf in the men's, Max Torres, he's a young kid from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Not a new name on the block, but he'd made kind of waves last year at the event in Puerto Rico, where he was doing some crazy turns and surfing. But then Benoit Carpentier was there.
Yeah, he's still...
Kai Bates and Wes Fry from Australia. Aussies!
So Kai Bates, he's back.
Yeah,
he's not gone anywhere, but I mean, he was fully... Who's he sponsored by now?
Smick.
He's on Smick, I think.
Yes.
He's off Fnatic. Yeah,
Off Fnatic.
Good move on that one.
yeah.
So full Smick setup then. So
Yeah,
Wes
full Smick.
Fry...
Wes Fry and Kai Bates, both on Hipster Twins in the final.
Wow.
What sizes were they?
Oh.
Of interest, do you know?
No, I don't know, but it's probably like 7 foot by 23.
23, okay.
Yeah, very small boards. I know.
Were they all on top? Like, super small. Benoit.
Super small. Benoit was on a Spice, a small Spice, probably the 6'9".
Yeah. Do you think it was a Spice or was it a?
He rode a Pro.
Yeah.
The first day, and then the waves got a bit smaller, so he switched to a Spice.
Yeah, I think these Spices they change when they get smaller, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
they do. Yeah, all boards
really,
do. Yeah, exactly.
But
then and then the racing was amazing to watch as well. That was really the technical was in and out through the waves. The technical race
I imagine I didn't get to watch any of the footage and the live feeds and stuff, but I remember the one where you had Jamie Mitchell and Casper coming in the technical race,
That's like
and they were surfing in, and they were like, they both knew that it was going to be how they got off and ran up the beach to finish the race who was going to win, and they just kind of did like a high five on the wave. Do you
That's
remember?
right.
That?
Yeah. I was there on the beach watching that actually.
Oh, were you?
yeah.
Where was that?
I was in Lima in Peru.
Yeah.
It was 2013.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And but they high-fived each other basically, or shook hands on the wave as they came in, and it was a sprint up to the finish line.
Yeah.
And
Did he trip?
yeah, exactly. Jamie Mitchell jumped off like half a second too early, and just hit the little bank, and he fell over, and Casper got in ahead of him. But it was,
Casper was there, wasn't he?
Casper was there. He was commentating as well.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
great to hear his insights for the racing.
Yeah.
Which was amazing, and you can catch up with all those replays and stuff online. And
That's pretty good. Like you said, the event to get there to score that.
Yeah.
Surf. Obviously, you can get the racing and everything, but the surf is the one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the sport needs. Those good events, good high profile stuff, good conditions to give those athletes a good competition.
Yeah.
So yeah, fantastic.
Out of interest, was there any longboards there? As in longboard surf? So was any people surfing longboards?
No, there weren't. I feel like there might be something happening
Separate discipline, wise.
in like a longboard discipline.
Yeah.
Possibly. I know it's like, it's been included so much more, like in Australia and internationally as well.
Yeah.
APP is introducing that longboard one this year.
Surely you must get twitchy if you compete in a
Yeah,
longboard event.
Exactly.
It's when you start down and go, the turn's
yeah.
good, but I could have done it better. If I was allowed to compete.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just quickly, another event that's just recently completed was the Pan American Games, SUP surf. Just quickly, the SUP surfing was held in like massive waves, at like the big waves.
Saw a few of Zane's photos, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
huge.
Yeah.
Proper big, like 4 or 5 times overhead big.
That's how we do it at the Pan Am. I was like, whoa!
But yeah, that's a real surf event.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you one thing before we go on to another thing you've been up to, Bo.
Oh yeah.
You did a collaboration. We did a travel, paddle, and SUPboarder surf clinic, didn't you?
We did. That's right.
That was a week before.
That was that was the.
That was a week after you came back from.
That was the day before I left.
Oh right.
No, it was the day I left.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it was back to back. But yeah, we did the SUP surf clinic, which was awesome. North Coast Cornwall.
Yeah.
Had some great waves.
Yeah,
Will, you were there. We caught up in the surf.
Yeah. I saw you. Yeah. It was cool, and everyone was really stoked on it.
Yeah, really stoked. So everyone was super happy. Great waves. Everyone walked away learning a lot about their surfing and where to improve and what areas they can work on. So it's good.
You didn't have such a good day of weather the next day. It was super windy, wasn't it? But you said something quite interesting to me the other day about how that day was really useful.
Yeah, it was super useful. So how we'd usually structure it would be surf in the first day in the morning and get a bit of video footage, and then go back and analyze that, and then surf again for a couple of hours in the afternoon just to work on those things. But because that first day was looking so great for the forecast, we just maximized the surfing on that day. So we did like 2 almost 4-hour sessions, I think it was. It was quite a lot of surfing, which is cool. So we got a ton of footage then, and then the second day we did like a 2-hour surf in the morning, really early. We hit just before the wind come up.
Okay.
And then we come back and we did like a 4-hour video analysis session, and everyone got like a good half an hour, 40-minute chunk of just breaking down their technique and working on person by person, which was fantastic for everyone, and that's really what everyone was stoked about.
Yeah, because if you see yourself surfing, you can see it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because you guys watch yourself surfing a lot.
Unfortunately, I get to see my technique a lot.
Because when you're riding boards to review and stuff, and it's so valuable, isn't it? Getting that video analysis. So,
I mean, 4 of the 6 of them hadn't seen themselves riding before on a video. So
I bet they thought, were they like, oh, that's me, or were they like, wow, I don't look too bad?
Well, we were discussing that. They're like, I've never seen myself in video before in the first day, and I was like, well, you might be a bit shocked when you first see it, because you're like, oh, I thought that would turn to be a lot bigger or something. But even at my level, I look at it, I'm like, oh, I thought that was better.
Don't look at your footage straight after your session. I bet you're like that.
Yes, exactly.
You catch that wave, think, man, that was a killer wave. Spray, the surfers behind me were getting sprayed in the face and all that sort of stuff. Come in, watch the footage, and like, no, that's not me. Skip next video. Oh, that is it. Oh, really? Yes,
exactly.
You've got to do it a day later when you've forgotten about that wave.
That's right.
And then it's all right.
So I think if you fancy doing a clinic, let us know, because I think you had a great time, didn't you?
It was really fun.
Everyone seemed to have a good time and got a lot out of it. So, and that really came about because people just got in touch.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We're probably gonna have another one scheduled for April, and another one for May as well. So I think we're gonna start kicking into gear next year and
Cool.
start doing a lot more.
I mean, that video analysis is great. Just have somebody filming you, and then just go to the pub or have a drink and just watch it afterwards and realize how good or how bad or what it really looks like. Is very valuable.
No, it's like you learn so much in those sessions, which is great.
Yeah, cool. Right then, let's move on. Let's move down. Well, we've been doing what's on SUPboarder. We've been pimping it a bit. We've got a hell of a lot of tests that have gone out. We did a compact test, SUP inflatable paddleboard compact test.
Yeah, that was super interesting. And if you're into paddleboarding and want to go on a trip or something like that, those boards are really interesting. And what the video does is just help people understand what type of one they can go for, what the options are, and what our group of 7 or 8 testers found. And really interesting. There's some surprises in there, wasn't there?
There was some surprises in there. Yeah.
So the boards are from £400 to £1,500.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of difference.
And the most expensive ones aren't the best. That's basically the biggest surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
But again, all these tests, we can't do them without our amazing testers and contributors that come. Quiver test, that was me and you, Bo.
That was good.
Talking about amazing contributors. That's us. That was good fun.
That was great fun. Yeah.
I've forgotten how many boards that was now.
We had 7.
7.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
One of them is behind us,
Yep.
Sonova.
That did quite well.
Definitely think the best looking board, I think.
It is, well
stunning.
finished. It is
It's
really
a
nice.
wooden podcasters. It's a wooden is it Polonia?
Probably is Polonia.
It is a very nice board, but that came. So
We're giving it away now.
we're giving the results away.
You gave it away.
Okay,
Spoiler.
so spoiler, but that was good fun. Quiver to that one board, you can SUP surf and in multiple conditions and get the most out of. But still find it easy to stand on, but it still rips.
Exactly.
Yeah. Big difference. When me and Lucy were jumping on the boards, there was some that were easy to surf and there's some that we couldn't surf. The thing about when you watch Bo surf is you can make anything work. Yeah.
Almost anything.
Almost anything. Oh, there has been a point where we
There's
had
been a couple.
Yeah, there has been a couple. Like, that's a piece of shit. Anyway, but yeah, when you put somebody on who's a slightly lower level, just slightly, it's very clear to see that actually, well, that's what I felt anyway. Bigger difference in performance.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had a few comments recently that my surfing's been too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys. So I can totally see how beneficial it is for
It's
that intermediate to advanced rider to be to be riding the boards.
Yeah, you need, but it's interesting that one, isn't it? Because you need to be able to have a level that people. I think also people like to see the nailings, the paddling on flat water. We did have a comment about that. Somebody says they want to see more of us standing on the boards on flat water, like not in the waves, like off the front of here on the estuary, which would be really good. Seeing how the volume is distributed in the board, seeing how easy it's to turn, that sort of stuff. So we do need to do that with the supping more, even with the surf foiling, all of that sort of stuff. People need to see it close up, how it is with an 80
That's
kilo,
so true.
70 kilo. Or...
Yeah, because we did a video, Ruben and I did a video about the different
Infinity, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, Infinity and Starboard. Yeah,
Same volume,
same
but
volume, very different. Very different. You're above water on the Infinity and below the water on Starboard. Yeah.
So we will do that. Thank you for that comment on that. So yeah, Quivertilla test. What other tests we've had? Oh, another neat one that I did the editing and filmed in the studio was the Whitewater test. Yeah, thank you so much to Beth Kirby for doing that. And as a full, 10 of them?
11 testers.
11 testers.
Wow. 15 boards. So the second biggest test ever done. I won't say by us because we weren't there.
Well, it was helped by us, but
we kind of facilitated it. But Beth did an absolutely amazing job coordinating her group of 10 other testers, pulling that all together, fueled by Morrison sandwiches, I think.
Yeah, up in Nottingham, home Pipont. So amazing whitewater course that for doing testing. That's like it's like doing a wave pool of SUP surfing or something. Every stop is the same. Every playway is the same. It's just like.
Yeah, and I think if you're thinking about getting into whitewater paddling, that test is absolute gold dust to watch because you've got 15 boards in there, all a bit different, and it basically identifies which boards are going to suit your different categories of weight and level. And then we've also highlighted, I think, about 9 of our favourites in those across those categories. So yeah, you can see what board you should buy for your weight and ability, basically. really awesome test.
Yeah, I want to come up and be involved in the next one.
Yeah.
At that low level rider.
a lot of people have asked on social media and through comments and stuff why our tests you have to pay for them. So what's the reason?
On SUPboarder Pro?
Yeah.
Well, the main reason is because so brands can't argue about it.
Yeah.
There's going to be winners, there's going to be losers. You can't really, you've got to be, at SUPboarder, we are the most independent. You know, when you do something, a review, you say it as it is, and this is the product for this person. But as soon as you bring another product in and you start bashing them head to head, obviously one's going to be better at something, the other one's going to be not as good at something. And it's just nice just to have a clear head. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is how it is.
Yeah.
Bring in 7, 10, 15 boards, it starts to get even more complicated, doesn't it?
It's purely funded by reader subscriptions.
Yeah.
So those subscriptions come in and you're getting completely straightforward information about those boards. It's not no one's getting a bit of a push up because they give us some money for some advertising or something. It's kept completely separate. And, it kind of works because we get to see a lot of new brands that we don't have kind of different advertising relationships with and stuff like that. So everyone gets a chance to be included in the test because all they have to do is send us a board.
Yeah, and it's a great way to just get the right information out there for the right people. Yeah, I mean, we still get a lot of complaints from brands. You can't say that. Yeah, we already have. Yeah, you don't pay for it. We don't pay for it. It's paid for by the readers.
The brand doesn't see it.
The brand has to pay for it.
They don't see the video until it goes out anyway.
No, they don't see the video.
So,
but it's good fun. It's good fun for the surfing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We do get to ride a lot of different, like Snova. I mean, they don't support us in any other sort of advertising or any other financial way.
Yeah.
But again, like the SUPboarder reviews, they're still honest. But you start bringing the two boards into head to head, there's going to be winners and losers, and that's when it's just a lot easier when you just pay for by the readers. Everybody pays for something. Right. What else have we got on there? So we've got that. So the equipment to test longboards. Bo, you had a really good video where you were doing the starboard new longboard range.
Yes,
that was a lot of fun.
That was
Big
a lot of
change
fun.
on the boards.
Yeah, and like a lot of other brands, like really good to see a new range coming out, completely redesigned for 2024 for the starboard longboards. But off of that, we did a SUPboarder Pro video about the differences. Between the
it's like design.
Yeah, that's the one.
You know, I found that video so interesting, and I wouldn't say I'm like massively into longboard SUP surfing, but I'm a bit techie, and the explanation was amazing. Really useful to help you understand what you should look for in your SUP surf longboard.
Yeah, exactly. So the width of the nose and the tails and all that kind of stuff as well
Super
is
cool.
going to help you. So subscribe to SUPboarder Pro and check it out.
God, Pip's going on now, but there's a lot of good content on there. Another one that was on there was Extra Juice with Aidan Nicholas that I did with the Armstrong pop-up, pump-up, pop-up foiling. Forgotten about it already, what it's called. I've got to get my terming sorted out. My first, you did the Will's done a
my first go on the Ace where I tried to, so I basically tried to share my experience because I was putting the pieces of the puzzle together and being like, okay, I did that wrong. I changed my paddle and stuff. So yeah, I mean, that one's worth signing up for a couple of years just to watch that one.
There's lots of other stuff, isn't it? You've done a video, Bo, of Starboard Go versus the Starboard Smick Paradox. They're like two
Starboard Smick Paradox.
Starboard Smick. Oh yeah, the Starboard. No, that's wrong.
Sorry, Scotty.
Yeah. Sorry, Starboard. The Smick Paradox.
Yes.
Which you're basically they're two pretty much all-round boards pushing a bit more towards surf.
Yeah.
Again, there's no winners and losers there. They're just opposite.
No, exactly.
Get the right board for you. Right. And of course, there's loads of other SUPboarder videos. I mean, God, the amount of videos we produce is phenomenal. Having a look at my editing sheet of all the standard stuff that we've been doing. I mean, this morning you were filming. What were you filming this morning?
I was filming
doing
the
Quobba
Fins, but also another palm equipment.
Palm carry equipment. I was doing an inflatable Aquatone review yesterday. Really interesting. Sorry, Aquatone cheap price point sister brand to Astron.
Yeah.
So they've done an inflatable foil board and a cheaper price point wing. Inflatable foil board, I really like it.
So what type of money are you looking at for the package of wing, foil, and...
I don't actually know what the package price is. I should have found that out, but because they're not actually. Some people are advertising with the Astron wing and the Aquatone board, but the Aquatone board itself is like 430. Oh, I should have moved. 439
so you're sub 1,500 quid to get into it.
Oh yeah. And even the Astron wings it comes with, they're all right. I mean the foils.
The foils, yeah.
But anyway, the inflatable board, I really liked it.
Yeah.
Anyway, not too yeah, that's coming out on SUPboarder soon. But is that enough of a pimp of what we've been doing?
Yeah, loads of content. Just
Loads
check
of
it out.
content, loads of content. But meanwhile, what we've always been doing, and we always do, is answer questions from our readers. Mainly, we do them on YouTube, obviously, as well, but also from our SUPboarder Pro readers on Ask the Experts, which is lots of questions every day, different disciplines, and we all get to answer different questions. So now we're going to highlight some of our questions to tell you what sort of questions we've been answering.
Yeah, well, so a lot of these questions can help
Yeah.
a lot of you guys as well, help a lot of people. So, but it gives you a bit of a flavour for the type of support that we can give. But hopefully you might get something out of what we're going to chat about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm on the top of the list, but that doesn't mean it has to be. Shall I just go on with this?
Yeah, keep
I'll go
going.
on with it. One of them is from Lucy, who obviously works for us, is pretty much the backbone of SUPboarder. She's probably doing the school run right now, but she did say this is a really good question. She was asking about what to wear on your feet when it gets cold. Now, we've spoken about this a bit in the surf. This is more for flat water, paddleboarding, touring, keeping your feet dry. So you've got a couple options. You've got the waterproof socks, wetsuit boots is a classic one, barefoot. And there's another shoe that I'm going to say, which has been very popular, and it's from our tester, Donna. She'll know exactly which shoe it is. Now, if you want dry, warm feet, but you want to have a thin-soled shoe to use on your board,
For better feel.
The poke boot.
Yeah, it's like a skin tight welly.
It's like a skin. She's
Yeah,
had
really
them.
cool.
She first tested stuff with us 3 years ago. She's had them a long time.
Yeah.
Earlier, what do you call it? What would you say? Early adopter. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those boots are great for super flexible flat water. They're a welly. They come up to. We'll put a screen on the shot. You know, shot on the screen. Screen on the shot. So that's a good one to look at. If you definitely, otherwise, waterproof socks, seal skins. I like dry feet. And the ultimate still, I think, is palm dry trousers with built-in socks as the weather's getting cold. Because
really well.
even if you put on like 6mm wetsuit boots, if your feet get wet, they still end up getting cold, don't they? After an hour and a half paddling, because you're not moving your feet, you're staying in the same place, just getting cold. So I think you want to keep them dry, really.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, we get a lot more questions about that in the autumn, winter months. And the one I've already answered, which was the question, I loved it on YouTube. What's the point in paddling onto the foil on flat water? I've already answered that one, but yeah, great training for the other sides of the sport. But yeah, when they asked me that, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. It does look a bit stupid. I can only do it about 20 seconds.
Something to do on a cold, wet Friday night.
Yeah. But it's funny when you look at some of these sports, and I'm even I put SUP in the early days when I first looked at it, I was like, really? Is that really, what's that? And then I do it and I'm like, oh, actually it's different. It's much better than that.
There's a lot of technique involved. That's kind of addictive, isn't it?
So that was there's only, I mean, hundreds of questions. That was only 2. Because I want to move on. We've got lots of questions to get through. Would you guys want to go next? Will, Bo, what's one of your top?
I'll go with one of mine. Chap called Sean, new to paddleboarding, and actually got in touch, signed up to Pro, because he's like, I am getting so confused, guys. Like, can you give me some advice that isn't just trying to sell something? So, like, I think a lot of people getting into paddleboarding, he'd gone onto Facebook groups. They are littered with people who are just trying to sell you something, unfortunately. And he actually said to me, which I thought was a bit sad, he felt people were trying to manipulate him to buying what they wanted him to buy. And I think that's a big issue at the moment, because everyone is actually quite keen to sell, because they've all got to make a living. They've all got to sell the stuff.
And there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there. And he basically just wanted some honest, independent advice on what he should buy. And I just said, well, tell me what you've been told and what your options are. And it was between 2 brands, not going to mention the brands. And I just gave him, brands that we've reviewed, so we're in a good position to be able to comment. And I just sort of, let's say, just cut through the crap, through the marketing crap, because something what was being said is good by one brand or bad against the other brand was really just sales chat, and gave him the tools, I think, to be able to make the decision for himself based on good, solid information. And it's a bit of a pimp for SUPboarder Pro really, but out there everyone's trying to sell something. We don't sell anything apart from SUPboarder Pro subscriptions, but we will generally just give you really good, honest advice that we don't care what you buy. We just want you to buy the right thing for you, and we don't want people to be ramming the wrong information down your throat. And I thought it was a good one to bring up, just because it's helps really show about that, honest. We're not trying to sell anything. So
I think if you're new to a sport, obviously our SUP is our main sport. There's a massive. Where do you start? Actually, winging. Let's put that in there. That's a massive thing. Where do you start? Foiling. Oh, there's so much stuff out there. I do. That's why I enjoy this job, because I know that we do actually really make a difference to people buying the right kit. And even on the non-pro, the SUPboarder level, you're still getting honest. As I said, you're still getting honest feedback. We're not selling. That's the great thing about doing a video. You can sell the product to the person that's right for the board, not that person that's watching the video. Maybe it's just
Like, I think that question made me, because we answer a lot of questions, and before we do this one, we go through what we've answered, or I go through what I've answered, and like, what's the best one to bring up? And I was just like, you're new to a sport, and you're just getting bombarded with all this information of people, buy mine. And I'm really pleased that Sean found us, because I just said, well, that's what I think about that one. That's what I think about that one. And I kind of just let him make up his mind. But
and it's not all the brands are bad. It's just that if one puts a hand up who's actually got the good board, they just sound like everybody else, don't they? Mine's different. It's got this and this, but mine's different. It's like, oh no, what they are saying is right.
I think the Facebook groups are quite a scary place to be as a beginner though, trying to buy your first thing, because everyone will say buy mine, and then they'll be slating on what someone else's as well, and it's a bit messy like that. It's a bit like the forums of the old days when it all got a bit bitchy, and I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that position.
Well, we might be in that position because somebody might take this video and then we might be there on the Facebook page and they might be slating us.
Yeah, cool.
Which is great because I don't use Facebook. Anyway. So, that's an interesting, nice comment to help on that.
Moving on from that, I'll do a question
cool.
that we had come in. Kind of relating back to beginners getting into the sport, and there's so much to think about. I had a question on YouTube come in. It was on a surf specific video, but it actually relates to all different disciplines of SUP. It was about the differences in construction of boards and what it actually feels like on the water between that top carbon board or the kind of lowest entry level, a more affordable construction option.
I think I've had a question on Pro about race boards with this.
Probably.
Separate. This sort of stuff we get over cross-pollinate, there's loads of stuff. So you had this in surf?
I had this in surf, and just what the difference between that carbon board and maybe like a PVC kind of sandwich might be. And just the differences in feel. And is it going to be such a noticeable difference, or could I, do I have to spend double or sometimes more than double the price to get a high performing board? The answer is they're both the same shape. So it's a good starting point that they're both the same shape. They're going to perform similarly on the water. Obviously, the carbon versions are going to be a lot lighter, which is going to give you a lot more response. Going to give you a bit more, I guess, maneuverability as well. Less swing weight too, possibly a little bit lighter in weight. But then again, you're still going to get the same feel from the lower construction. And the video was actually on the starboard, so they did the blue carbon and the limited series, which is their whiteboards.
This is the longboard.
This is on the longboard one, and I actually the new shape in the longboard was in the limited that we got, the 9.5. And I actually preferred riding that to the carbon,
because sometimes a bit of weight's nice, isn't it? Particularly in longboarding.
That's true.
I'm not know much about longboarding, but
what
I've heard is that sometimes weight's a bit good.
Exactly. Very true.
For gliding, getting on the waves early and stuff. It used to be in the old days. I thought the shapes were different. I'm talking 12 plus years ago. Like I remember having I don't think it's starboard's fault or anything, but I remember having a starboard Pro shape. That was a Pro then. It was the carbon. Anyway, it was a carbon board, and I remember seeing a starboard, the same one, and the rails weren't as fine. It's almost like the paint was on top of the extra layers on. And I don't know if that's the case, but I don't think that is the case anymore. It's very different. It's like the shape it is the shape it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember Bluefin used to get a lot of grief for having heavy ISUPs, right?
Yeah.
But actually, I remember when I used them, I was like, this heavy thing is good in some instances because it once you get it going, it powers through some chop, and it would be great on a downwinder because it had a little bit of, it just keep going. So I don't think every like construction kind of characteristic, weight, stiffness, has a pro and a con, and it's about understanding what you need as a rider. You might be limited by your price point, right? But you've just got to understand why might that be bad, why might that be good, and is that right for what I need?
Exactly right, and that's the thing. Price comes into it too. And if you can't reach to that top construction, still going to get a good board.
And that limited construction from Starboard is really nice price.
Right. Yeah, it is really good.
So
like we were saying before, some good deals under £1,000 for some brand new boards out there, which is great.
Coming on to a question where construction I think does matter is on foils, where I really do think you get a different feel with carbon versus aluminium and stiffness. That's not really my questions came in from a chap called Anton, who said that he felt that a Astron foil fuselage, so therefore the wings that would attach to it, were exactly the same as a North product.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, really? So I did some digging on it, and he did some digging on it, with emails going back and forth. And then I actually spoke to a couple of contacts in shops. It turns out they're exactly the same.
Are they?
Yeah. Which is
we haven't used North, to be fair, before this question comes up, because we would have spotted it ourselves. So we haven't actually
never seen it. But and I think what was really interesting for me, and why I brought this one up, was because when you're buying into foils, I think often if you're buying into a lower price point foil or an entry level, probably a lower to mid price point foil, you might actually always be buying into just an OEM product from a factory. So it's something that many brands can buy into. When you're buying into a brand like Axis over there, Armstrong, F1, can you think of any others?
There's quite a few of the specialist boutique brands, let's say.
Yeah, they are actually developing those products from nothing to something. So they're not just going to a factory and finding something, maybe tweaking it a bit. They're designing all of their connections together, and that was sort of how the conversation with Anton developed, in terms of, well, that's how it works. And I think as a consumer, you've got to be aware of that, because you might be buying into the brand at a particular price point, but it might be exactly the same as something that's a different price point.
Even the material, though, the material could be different. Layup, carbon, aluminium.
It could be, but if it's an aluminium, I suppose the aluminium grade could be different, but essentially they were all compatible. And maybe it's just a bit of an enlightening in how the industry works. A lot of these brands are just going to a factory and saying, I need a foil that fits this spec. They're like, yeah, that works, all right, cool. They probably, to be fair, they probably put their own mark on it to some extent, but something that's what you get for buying into a foil that's £2,000 versus £1,000.
All right, let's start to wrap this video podcast up, because I know we're getting a bit longer, but let's see, is there any other trends or things that you want to speak about before we finish off on this foil show?
I had quite an interesting conversation with a brand that made me think quite a lot, and it's probably worth sharing. The brand was had been getting a lot of requests from its customers to replace leashes after perhaps a year, 2 years, because as many of you will know, ISUPs generally come with 2, 3, or even 5-year warranties. And the brand said, we don't think we should be replacing leashes because the warranty is really on the board. And a leash is a piece of safety equipment that will deteriorate over time and really is the responsibility for the rider. To which we had a bit of a conversation about it, and I think we agree with that.
Well, I think me and Bo, like from a surfing point of view, you're replacing leash every year.
I'd love to get a free leash. Go through them like every day.
You can spend a lot of money on
every 6
this.
months I'll replace a leash. Before it breaks. That's the big thing I'm going to bring it here. It's before the leash breaks. No point replacing it when it breaks, because you're already in the poop at that point. Especially if you're doing downwinding or using an ice up on a windy day. This is not the sort of stuff you want to be mucking about with.
I mean, you want to be at least looking at that kit every 6 months, or probably a quick visual check every session. Make sure there's no big cracks or breaks in that.
Again,
leash.
especially if you're foiling, you get in your foil, leash cut around your foil. It's sharp fins, SUP fins, the same fins.
Yeah, but from an all-round point of view, it's a bit like checking the oil in your car, which your car can kind of do for you now, or checking the water, or checking the tyres. It's kind of your responsibility to make sure that that key piece of safety equipment, i.e. your leash, is up to standard. And I would say you definitely want to be replacing it every year, particularly if you're using it a lot. If you're not using it a lot, it's just sitting there, and the material that it's made of is probably just going to be degrading and stuff like that. So unfortunately, it might be sat in a cold garage, and that will cause it to perish. So yeah, you've got to take it seriously.
Yeah. I mean, you could keep it for maybe the light wind, flat water, paddling around a bay day. Yeah. But when you going out on some more full on stuff. Yeah. Put proper leash on.
Yeah. And they do, unfortunately they do fall apart, and SUP safety is an important thing. If you don't know about the importance of wearing a leash, make sure you check out SUP Safe.
SUP Safe, lots of videos on there.
Yeah. And do you want to know some stats on SUP Safe?
Oh, we've got some stats.
Yeah, because I was just having a look out.
SUP Safe is a series of 9 videos that we've got on YouTube to help people paddle safer and learn everything they need to know to be safe on the water as a stand-up paddler.
If you're worried about what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, check it out. It's had 65,000 views, 4,111 hours of watch time. So that makes me feel very good that we put the effort in to do it, because that's a lot of hours of helping people be safe on the water.
Yeah.
But please recommend it to people, because I think it is a really good resource.
Definitely, going back to these Facebook groups, if you see a lot of these people that are going out and, offshore winds, we've got all that covered. Winds, tides, offshore wind, different videos, just put some on there, because I know those sort of videos in those sort of places are the things where they need to be shared, because they're the prime, a lot of information that isn't being.
Yeah. And a final thing, I think it's worth shout out, because I saw it on a video call a couple of weeks ago. I think today the new foil drive has come out.
Ooh.
Which I yet to try it, but it is a massive step up.
Okay, and foil drive for people who aren't knowing what foil drive is?
Foil drive, we're not going to call it e-foiling, because I don't think it is e-foiling. It's kind of hybrid foiling. So it's a motor that goes on that can retrofit onto your existing foil and board. So check it out, because I believe it's been released today. If it hasn't, we might have to delay the release of this, or you'll cut it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool though, isn't it?
Yeah. Amazing.
Much more integrated solution. Very excited. Really hope we'll be able to do something with that, because I can see it fitting into everybody's foiling going forward. Not just a beginner. I think it could fit into.
Yeah.
Is this assisting you getting up on the foil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, it's like a motor that goes onto the mast. You have a trigger and you get up without having to paddle, so we don't have to do that paddling, feeling sick thing.
Right.
Okay. But I kind of feel that and I think Foil Drive do also think this as well, that now that they've kind of taken it to the next step, it's so much more integrated, and it's something that can be a part of your foiling thing throughout your foiling journey. It's not just a lunchbox bolted strapped onto the board, So it's cool.
Amazing.
And it's really good. Thanks for the Foil Drive guys for showing it for me.
We pimped it. Can we get one now?
Well, hopefully, yeah.
Send us one.
Can we have one, please?
Yeah. I'd love to have a go on that. That sounds great. Also, what sounds great, I don't know if you can hear the rain again. It's raining. It's getting heavier. We're all going to be swept away. High tides later. But we've got lots of SUPs, so we'll be all right.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think
well, our cars are on the beach.
Exactly.
So if the tide's coming in, we need to get out of it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, they better go. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I hope you found it interesting and informative. Go sign up to SUPboarder Pro if you haven't already. Then I can buy a jumper, so next time it'll be warmer.
It's sitting on it.
No, it's a bit cold. Anyway, but yeah, I hope you found this video or podcast interesting. And
thanks for joining.
Should we see you next time?
Hopefully, yeah. Bye.
See you later. Bye.